Leon, thanks for joining the podcast today. I know you just got back from the IAC in Dubai. Can you talk a little bit about the conference? I know you've been going for a number of years. What was different this year? We were talking about how well attended it was and how important an event. Could you give us a little bit of color from your vast experience of going to this conference?
Sure, Phil. Happy to do that. I've been going to the International Astronautical Congress, the IAC, for at least 25 years. Wow. Since 1995, I've been going to every year to the IAC. And this one in Dubai was quite special. It was, the first one after COVID, still, wearing masks and so on. And there were about 6,500 attendees to the conference, which is really a large number. It's not the same number as before COVID, but it represents a pretty large attendance to the conference. And I'm really happy to say that from what I've seen, a very large percentage of that were young people attending the conference. And I also paid attention, there's always an exhibit hall where industry presents their models, their latest developments. They have booths and so on. And from my colleagues at the IAC, I found out that out of 90 exhibitors, more than half of those exhibitors were first-time exhibitors. Wow. Which this really represents that there's a new wave of industry coming into the space business. These are not just your traditional prime contractors. These are small companies. These are emerging companies. So there's really a new wave of companies entering the space business.
That's fascinating, Leon. Could you talk a little bit about this industry you know so well, the resilience of the space industry through the pandemic, able for people to meet up in Dubai? Could you just talk a little bit about how resilient this industry is?
Absolutely. So it's both resilient and there's a lot of, I would say, new energy, especially a lot of young people. There were a lot of students from Dubai, male, female, lots of astronauts that came to the conference. It was very well attended by NASA, by JPL and other NASA centers. A lot of my colleagues were there. A lot of agencies, international space agencies from France, Germany, from all over the world were there. And the industry represented small startup companies to large companies like Lockheed Martin was the major sponsor of the IAC, but including Northrop Grumman. So there were the usual prime contractors, but they were also medium-sized companies and very small startup companies as well. So the highlight announcement for me was by Blue Origin that they announced their orbital reef, as they call it. That's the next private space station, commercial space station to be launched into space. As we know, the International Space Station exists today. And we know now that there are several really serious contenders to replace the International Space Station with a totally private commercial space station. And Blue Origin just announced their orbital reef space station.
Calls of action to you, Leon, leaving this? Anything that has you really excited and motivated coming out of the conference?
Yeah, for me, what's very exciting is that it's clearly the industry is growing, and it's growing not only in size, but in the number of players that are present in this industry. So, when you look at companies like Blue Origin, they are a company of only the last 10 years, and they've made major announcements that they're launching their private space station business. But then there are many, many others that were present there. Some of the key factors were addressing challenges to humankind, such as global change, global climate monitoring. There were a lot of topics in terms of infrastructure for space development, the expansion of humankind beyond Earth to Moon, and so on. So there was a lot of interesting things going on at this conference.
That's really exciting. Thanks, Leon, for joining the podcast today. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Thank you.